Thanks for watching / listening to Comedy Worst. Please like the episodes. Subscribe. Wherever you're listening. Follow. Wherever you're listening or watching, follow. Thank you. Comedy or Worse presents a free comedy show at Quantum Brewing. Yay! 5375 Kearney Villa Road, San Diego, California, 92123. Every Friday, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Every Saturday, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Yeah, great beer, outside food, and dog friendly. Scan the QR code or go to comedyworst.com/QB.
So whether it's divorce or something else that hurts, it's comedy or worse. Oh, there's trauma, of course, like pooping in your shorts. It's comedy or worse. Yeah, it's comedy. Finally funny. It's comedy. And don't you see? It's comedy or worse. Fabulous.
Okay, welcome back to Comedy or Worse. I'm here with a very special guest.
Dorothy Rose England.
Yay! So how are you doing today?
Good. I thought I had a good sense of direction, but all I know for sure is that I walk very fast and I'm very sweaty right now.
Well, you can't tell. Let's see. So how did you get into comedy?
Oh my goodness. Well, I was a theater kid and I did a lot of improv through that, and so I feel like that was kind of, the confirmation that I love something.
Yeah.
Don't know if that means that I was good at it, but I just kept doing it, and then I really got into stand-up comedy in like the last 2.5 years. I think I was looking for some sort of validation that I wasn't getting in my current relationship.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like I remember being like, I'm going to post this on social media because somebody else will think it's funny. And then stand-up comedy just felt like one step up from that.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. And then I forgot to ask you this. Do you use a stage name?
I go by my birth-given full name, Dorothy Rose England, that my parents gave me, so it's their fault that I like attention, because have to explain, there's a little something to each of the names in there, so yeah, and now I like my name. When I was younger, I didn't like it, but now I feel really lucky.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. So then once you started comedy, did you get addicted to it right away, or?
Oh, I think I wasn't good enough to get addicted to it.
Oh.
I think I got mad at first. I was like, I'm so funny. Why aren't people laughing? And then I started using marijuana to cope, which did in some ways make me funnier because I cared less.
Sure.
But it also made me a little bit more aggressive.
Start yelling at the audience or something?
Just like a sense of arrogance. Like, I'm funny, damn it. Instead of being like, let's just listen to each other, let's just share what I have to, what I want to share. And so I think I don't know if I'm even addicted to it right now. I think what I'm actually really addicted to, and maybe addiction isn't even the right word, but I really enjoy the process of thinking through an idea and the challenge of, I feel like it's so easy as creative individuals to have an idea and to be like, this is so interesting and so important.
Yeah.
But then to get kind of sideswept so that you're like, you realize another idea, and you constantly, we give so much, that's part of what ego is, to be like, well, this idea is good and that idea is good. And then we kind of forget the focus of staying with one idea, and so I think that that's a really fun challenge to be like, okay, maybe these things are unrelated, or maybe they're not. what does that process look like if I can make a connection? So
that's cool.
I think that's kind of my favorite part of comedy is just figuring out how little life's moments all connect into one big funny exaggeration.
Okay, nice. So what's your writing process for comedy?
I really like wordplay. I love puns, and so I think that sometimes I'll kind of I really like to handwrite. I enjoy that process of feeling something and feeling the ink into the paper. And sometimes I'll actually use my opposite hand because I'm like, okay, what's on the other side? What is it unlocking?
Okay.
And so I feel like...
so you can write legibly with your other hand?
I can. I can even write with both hands at the same time.
What?
That's my version of doodling when I was in the classroom.
I mean, what are you writing with both hands? Words?
Yeah, it's like you can try to like write the word mirror. So you start with the M on the inside.
The same word.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were writing two different sentences at the same time. Who else is in your brain right now?
I was at one point falsely diagnosed with schizophrenia. So that would line up.
Sure.
Having two different ideas at the same time, But no, I think that there's also just such a when you're handwriting something, I personally feel like your brain is able to think more quickly, so you're able to make connections more. So there's less. I don't know. You're just kind of like all the scribbles that you can decipher. So it doesn't, and it just feels so innately human.
Sure.
And so I think that I really prefer for my writing process to just kind of jot things down and accept that, writing is like gardening, where it's like you're going to be pulling a few weeds.
Yeah.
But then when you get to something really beautiful, you're like, I did that. I weeded around that beautiful rose, and now I'm going to pluck it and show everyone.
Yeah, that's cool. So, but then what's your process for making it to where you don't lose your notes? Like, are you making them electronic somehow?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And sometimes I'll try to remember, sometimes if I can get like an acronym of topics, I don't know, my name's Dorothy Rose England, so I could do like DRE, like talk about drugs, talk about roses, talk about everything, and so just kind of really being able to shorten it down to a topic that I feel comfortable talking about. Like I've explored the full shape of a topic. So, but at the same time, like just knowing that I'm going to learn even more space within that topic to explore. So, yeah, it's definitely it feels like a lengthy process if you really categorize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many times do you try a joke before you set it aside?
I think it's almost more if how many times people don't laugh at it. Usually that first time that you don't get the reception, you're a little like, But then also, I was talking to someone about how like sometimes comedy topics are kind of like plants, and you might have a really beautiful artificial plant, but there's not a lot of depth to it, right?
Yeah.
Like I haven't really nurtured it, I haven't really sat with it, or maybe it's just not relevant to what I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
And the audience is a lot smarter than our egos
Right.
will try to fool us. I definitely think that you have to have some level of sense of self, but also connecting with the sense of what the audience is receiving and what they're...
Yeah. Well, yeah, sometimes you'll be like, well, why didn't that joke work as good as it usually does? Oh, if you really think about it, it's I'm tired of telling that joke.
Or it's just not relevant anymore. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm tired of it, and yeah.
Sweet. All right. So who's the funniest person in your life right now?
The funniest person in my life. Oh, wow. You know, I don't know if it's just one person. It feels like there's a bit of mental illness in my family. And so I feel like I've kind of, like, sometimes my initial reaction is frustration.
Yeah.
But then I look at the absurdity of it, you know.
Sure.
Like, so for example, I'm from New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And we are getting just slaughtered with snow right now, just loaded, you know, and my mom, she's really fearful of my brother driving in the snow.
Okay.
So she told him, don't drive to work, because he still lives at home, and he's like, I gotta go to work.
Yeah.
So she called the cops to prevent him from going to work.
Wow.
And at first I was like, Mom, you can't do that, because this is his job. And
Right.
he has been warned, you know. One time he was running late, and you know, it's a job. Like, you have to show up. You have to fulfill your obligation. And so at first I was really angry at my mom. And then, like, realizing the absurdity of it, like, and really from her perspective, like, she's just afraid for her son. She doesn't want her son to get into a car accident.
Sure.
But
So what did she tell the cops?
I think she just was, you know, explained her very valid fear that is a concern. And I think I don't know if she thinks that, like, if, you know, we're taught that certain people have more authority, right? So maybe she thinks, you know, an officer can tell my brother, don't go to work, or the officer can call his place of work. I'm not really sure exactly of the thought process of it, but it's in those moments that, like,
Sure.
if I'm in a much better place, I give more grace.
Yeah.
But sometimes I don't. But when I finally give that grace, it's like, those are the moments where I'm just like, oh my God, this is hilarious. Like, you know, like,
It seems like it's like I don't know. I just want to know what happened. So, like, we can move on, but I just, like,
my brother
so
eventually, my brother got to the
came
job.
and prevented him to go to work, or escorting him to work, or
No, I think they just told my mom, you know, like, there's nothing we can really do about that.
Okay.
You know, and really it's not their responsibility.
Sure.
And also, like, but then it's kind of like my mom also has to trust that, like, what she's trying to do is keep my brother safe.
Yeah.
And that's really, I mean, that's mainly on him on the road, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's holding somebody, it's giving somebody that accountability to prove themselves, you know.
Yeah.
But so he made it to work. He's fine. But of course, he's upset because, you know, he's like 30, and my mom is, you know, she's treating him like a little child. So
Sure.
it's just absurd. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So I asked everybody this. I'm sure I know the answer for you, but when did we meet?
We met, let's see, at the beginning of the week. I believe it was Monday. And so it's been 4 days since we met. But it feels, I think you seem like a person that's willing to open and share your soul.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I hope I'm like that.
Yeah. It feels like I've known you longer.
Yeah, and I think that's really, I think that there's two main parts in comedy.
Yeah.
Either you're like, I'm gonna make it really big, and that's my goal, and maybe that will work out. Or you're like, I want to share the stage, and I want to be with my fellow comedians, laughing together, learning from each other. And comedy is funny, but it often, like, what I've recognized for myself, at least, it comes from a really vulnerable place.
Oh, yeah.
And so I feel like when I meet somebody who's like, yeah, I'm vulnerable and I'm willing to laugh about it, you kind of are like, okay, like, I recognize that, and that feels familiar.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's like I'm doing so many things that revolve around comedy.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go, oh, maybe I should just focus on one thing. And it's like, no, I want to do the podcast, run a show, do my merch,
but
all these things.
Well, and it all kind of works together, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like we focus on this a lot in exercise, the idea of cross-training.
Yeah.
And I think we could take that idea into other aspects of life too.
Yeah.
You know, like I know, like I was just realizing with my writing, like sometimes I over-explain a topic, and sometimes it's much more informative or much more interesting or much more powerful if I just say something. I get to like the nitty-gritty of what I'm trying to say, and then take a pause. And I think that that's important. I'm realizing that that's important on stage too.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like giving that space for the audience to be like, oh, what did that person on stage say? And kind of have that quick moment of like, oh, clarity, and then connection.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have recognized that as succinctly if I hadn't had to do that through writing. So, and writing not for comedy, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So are you recording video of your sets?
Yeah, I try to record as much as I can, and you know, I think I don't know what happened, but maybe I just like, I don't think I stopped caring, but I stopped letting it be the only thing to care about. If I had a set and it didn't go well, and watching it back, and instead of cringing, I'm like, okay, what didn't go well?
Yeah.
You know, and taking it as learning, and yeah. So yeah, I record. I don't always post what I record because I want to make it seem like I'm quite polished, you know.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend posting everything, that's for sure. So you came from New Hampshire to San Diego. Have you ever traveled anywhere else to do comedy?
This is the first real time in my life that
Nice.
I'm really investing in me, and that means investing in the things that I've always wanted to do, but either felt like I wasn't, like, my interest in them wasn't worthy of the value and the attention and the effort. And so, I mean, so I'm you know, I've driven from New Hampshire here to San Diego, and along the way I've stopped at some open mics.
Oh, nice.
And I like to do musical comedy too, so sometimes I'll actually stop at open mics for music.
Yeah,
and
like a mixed mic?
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's really good because a lot of those, like there's a certain, you know, vibe in comedy where things are a little bit more risque, a little bit not crude in the sense like, oh, you know, but it's, you know, loosely offensive because that's what comedy is. It's an exaggeration, you know, so within that it can be quite offensive if you let it be, you know. And sometimes like it can be just very offensive. But doing musical comedy, a lot of times those are much more family focused.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to catch myself and be like, okay, like I don't want to exclude anybody from what I'm trying to share just because, you know, I dropped the F-bomb or I talked about like this sexual encounter. Like I want everybody to kind of take something from it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, but I'm always like, I'll stop at an open mic, and I think I'm like, well, if I'm asking you to sit and give me space and grace, I should lead by example.
Yeah.
You know, and so, and again, in musical comedy or in music, like that's really, I don't know, I love music. Sometimes I think I love music more than I love comedy just because, you know, you can just kind of sway and you don't have to pay attention as much.
Sure. Yeah, so. I love to do musical comedy too, and then I just started writing songs, like other songs, regular songs. And, use Sono to like take the lyrics and make it into a song, and that's really fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and some of them are like I wouldn't want to put it at like a family friend, you know. It's like describing stuff that's like a little more sexual, and it's like, I definitely see that. Yeah, but it's,
you know, it's interesting. Like Actually, a lot of my topics that I kind of explore are the idea of being sexy without being sexual.
Okay.
And like I came from like a really Christian home, you know, like, and I was homeschooled for a little bit, so it was like, if you want to go out and do whatever you want to do, you have to read a page of the Bible, then you have to write it down, and then you have to pray about it. So just like a lot of like organization and regulation about how you, like, this is how you have value in the world, right?
Yeah.
And I think that just felt really isolating.
Sure.
And a lot of it, I feel like I mean, maybe, you know, I know this is mostly an auditory art or audio art, but like I've always been quite blessed in the chest area. And I remember like being shamed for that. Like, you know, it'd be summer and I'd be wearing, and like I'd be wearing a tank top, and it, because I was hot, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like this little, like, you know, like 13-year-old wearing a tank top, and then other people would put their own thoughts on my body, you know, and like that, like nobody comes out of the womb being like, well, I'm a slut, you know.
Right.
But people come out people go out into the world, and then there are certain thoughts that and expectations of how you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to look. And so, but then it's also this confusing thing of being like, well, God built your body, respect it. And it's like, well, why don't you respect it?
Right.
You know, you're putting all of this sexual energy and all of this shame on me because of how other people are thinking about it, or
Right.
you know. And so that's something that I'm really trying to find a good balance between, because like I don't want to be angry,
Right.
but I also want to be realistic. I don't want to be sexual and crude, but I want to be sexy and confident.
Yeah.
So figuring out, and then of course at the end of the day, I want to be funny and relatable.
For sure.
So it feels like it's like a constant, I don't know, I feel like I'm in a blender with like bricks, and I'm like, oh, okay, I broke off a chip that I can kind of mold.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Well, yeah. It's just a process.
yeah.
All right. Cool. So, do you have any hobbies or passions that aren't related to comedy?
I really enjoy painting.
Nice.
I like painting something beautiful and then taking fire or wire and kind of making it a little bit destructive.
Okay. That's cool.
I don't know why, but I really, and I think maybe you know, a deeper meaning or deeper philosophy is the idea that like we're talking, like babies are born beautiful, right?
Yeah.
But then the world kind of like puts all of these opinions on a person,
Sure.
and that's what can be ugly. But then within that ugliness, there's also kind of a beauty, and like and the beauty is like the realizing that like it's not intimidating, you know.
Yeah.
So I think like I kind of, that's big thing for me in art. And then I love dancing.
Nice.
I might be from New Hampshire, you know, but I know how to get down.
Yeah, you're a good dancer.
Thank you. I love to dance. I wish that it was more normal to just go out and dance down the street, but it is not yet. Maybe I'll be the first one to just be like, let's boogie, you know, instead of running, because running is so, to me, it's so monotonous. You're just like, oh. But dancing, you can be like, yeah. And so I love to dance, and I love to hike. I have a cat, and I like to think of us as coexisting creatures.
Sure.
Even though I pay for everything and clean up his poop.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Sweet. That's great. So do you wish you started comedy earlier?
I think I wish that I had the confidence earlier.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like right now, I feel like I'm really like, and like I said, I've been doing this like about 2.5 years, and I feel like I'm only now recognizing that confidence.
Sure.
And so I think if I had that confidence maybe a little bit earlier, it might have helped me, not even in just comedy, but in other areas of life.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, like, so I'm 34, which is not old at all, but,
Right.
you know, sometimes I see people who, you know, they go out and they're in their 20s, and I'm just like, wow, that's incredible, you know, and of course there's like that little, if I nourish it, it will become a bitterness.
Right.
But like there's that little seedling where I'm like, oh, I could be jealous. But I also have to just be like, well, you know what? I've grown in other ways.
Yeah.
You know, and I can't let that, I don't know, I can't lose creativity. I can't lose a thought process to what ifs and jealousy, because then I'm losing track of what I want to do, you know?
Everybody has their own path.
Yeah. So.
All right, cool. What are your goals in comedy?
I used to work with children. I used to work with kids with autism.
Yeah.
And to me, it's not, oh, there's something wrong with them. It's just that there's just a different way of thinking.
Sure.
And we, like, you know, like another language, like sometimes we don't want to look stupid trying to learn someone else's language or trying to pronounce something.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of like that fear and that sense of embarrassment, but really that's just limiting us. And I think I want to kind of encourage that idea of being like, I'm not going to be perfect ever. You know, what is it? Practice makes progress.
Yeah.
And so I think that just that idea that like just being really authentic with not even your failings, but your efforts and your tryings.
Yeah.
And so that's something that really matters to me, because I want people to like, I think I really have this goal of being like, I want to say something that like I wish someone had said to me when I was younger.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
You know, and especially with that experience of growing up in a Christian household and growing up with, you know, like I've had a few stalkers in life, and
Oh no.
and of course that I'm like out here being like, look at me, you know, but I get to control that narrative.
Yeah.
And I get to control then when I turn it off, right?
Sure.
And so I think more than anything, I want to try to lead by example, and it doesn't even have to be what exactly I'm saying, but just the idea of like, just keep having fun with it, just keep exploring, keep failing, and keep learning, you know? And it doesn't even matter specifically for comedy. It could be for any kind of performance or any kind of public situation where you're out there talking to people or giving them something.
Yeah. Sweet. So what is your favorite joke? It could be anybody's joke.
Oh my God. My favorite joke. Wow. You know what? My brother David, I thought this was so funny. He said, do you know why the jellyfish is so lonely?
Yeah.
It doesn't have a peanut butter fish. And it's just like, and I think that's like, we forget sometimes that like sometimes there's just really like, you know, out there in nature or out there in, you know, in everyday life, there's just like these funny situations where you're like, And so I think, you know, he asked me, he's like, can you go on stage and say that? And I was like, you go on stage and say that. So now I'm doing it I'm going on a podcast and saying it.
There
So.
we go. Exactly. Sweet. So what was your first joke?
Oh, it was, so I'm from the Upper Valley area of New Hampshire, and it's kind of like this like shared space between New Hampshire and Vermont. And I believe, I think it was, I you know, I wasn't doing very well when I first got into comedy.
Uh-huh.
It was one of those situations where I wasn't asking for help. My ego was blinding me from asking for help.
Yeah.
And I was abusing marijuana and using it to kind of distract me from the bad feelings.
Yeah.
so it's hard to like really figure for sure, but I think it was at this place in Hanover, New Hampshire called Sawtooth, and it's this cool like basement bar where there's always something going on. It's not just a bar where you go get, food and drinks. It's like we've got trivia and music and comedy. And I think I really was just like, I wasn't getting enough validation from the people I thought I should be getting validation from. So I was like, well, fine, I'm going to go to a bar. And they're all drunk, so they'll love me. Yeah.
Okay, so what was the joke though?
Oh my God. I don't know if I remember exactly. I think it's interesting. I honestly I can't remember what exactly I talked about, but I think so my full name is Dorothy Rose England, and at the time I was living in West Lebanon, New Hampshire, and one of my neighbors diagonally across the street was a 93-year-old named Dorothy Rose England. And so we became friends. And so anyway, so at this time I wasn't working. I was kind of in a bad mental space. Yeah. And I was lucky that I didn't have to work. It's probably also good that I wasn't working, but but I was helping her run errands. And one of the errands that we had to do is we went to a mechanic shop because she had to get her state inspection. And they said, you don't have enough mileage on your car, so we can't read the computer of your car to see what we need to work on. Mm-hmm. And they asked her, where are you driving, if at all? And she said, well, every day I get into my car, open the garage, back out of the driveway, go to the mailbox, get my mail, and drive back home.
Oh my goodness.
And her driveway, it's like, it's not even 1,000 feet long. And so I talked about how so we're and it's already intimidating going to a mechanic because I know nothing about cars. I just know that if it's running well, it can get me from point A to point B. Right. And of course, she's 93, and so this mechanic's kind of looking at us, and he's like, you need 211 miles. That's what we need in order to read your car computer. Yeah. And he's kind of like looking at us, and we're like looking at each other, and we're like, we can do that. And so we ended up driving. She had moved in like the last, she had been in the same area for like 20 years. So we ended up driving to where she had used to live. And it was April, which is mud season. Especially in New Hampshire, and maybe other places too, I don't know, but it was mud season, and so we're driving through the boonies of Springfield, New Hampshire, and instead of going fast and furious, we were going slow and curious. And so I think I don't think I realized like how much I actually really needed her as a reminder that I was going to get through what I was struggling with. And so I think I used her, ironically, she probably needed it more than me, but I used her as the crutch in the relationship. And just like because we just had funny little moments. And so I think I really talked a lot about our experiences together.
All right, cool. So do you have like a favorite fan interaction? Either someone was a fan of you or you were a fan of someone else?
I was doing comedy in Manchester, New Hampshire, and there was this woman there with her sister and her mom, and she laughed a lot at my jokes, and I felt really good. I was like, yeah, making a young, cool person like me, because she was like in her early 20s, and she ended up going up herself. It was kind of as an open mic, and the host was like, yeah, if anybody wants to come up, we've got spaces and whatever, or spots. And she went up, and afterwards, and she didn't do very well, but she kept going. She had 5 minutes, and she's like, this is my 5 minutes. I'm going to keep trying, And afterwards, I congratulated her. I was like, that was awesome, if you're really interested, keep doing it. It gets more manageable, right?
Sure.
And she's like, I went up because of you.
And
I was just like, really? And she was like, yeah, like you just really felt really comfortable with yourself, and like you made it look really easy and fun, and that felt so cool, you know, like, and that's like, I want to promote that, like that idea of sharing the stage. And if you want to go up and perform, however you're going to perform is, as long as you're being safe. Sure. Like that is, I think that's like the best compliment, like that I've ever received, that somebody was, so that just, I'm getting chills thinking about it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, like I run like an open mic on Fridays and Saturdays at Quantum Brewing, and it's so nice. Like someone's like, "This is my first time doing comedy," and it's like, "Oh, such an honor."
I know.
I get to host them, or or at least provide the space where they're getting to do the comedy.
Yeah.
Or giving people the first time featuring or first time hosting. So that's really nice.
Well, and you probably know, like it's nerve wracking. Like I don't think I don't think the nerve. I don't know if, for me, if the nerves will ever go away.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when
it
someone,
would almost be bad if they did, right? Because then the times where the nerves go away, and then you're like, wait a minute, did I just bomb and not care? And I was having too much fun, and I didn't worry about it.
Well, like, I'm never going to pretend that I don't care what people think about me.
Sure.
But then recognizing that, being like, oh, so someone else cares what people think about them too, and they're still doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's, so like, it is really cool, because you're like, yeah, like, go vulnerability.
Absolutely cool. So what's your favorite place to do comedy?
Honestly, I've been loving it here in San Diego.
Oh yeah, you got to move here somehow.
I've just felt like a really warm reception, and if it, again, like that idea of like, it just feels like there's like an overall sense of sharing the stage and respecting that people are just going up and doing it.
Yeah.
And I've talked to a few people, like right now, so we're in Madhouse Comedy Club, and a lot of people that I've been talking to are like, this is where I started because I felt comfortable.
Yeah. And
I think that that's just like such a testament to like the community that is created and fostered at a place.
Absolutely.
So
well,
I just...
there's open mic 7 nights a week here.
I know.
So why would you not at least come here a few times?
Well, that's why I came here specifically. Like, I was like, okay, if that's how you do a marathon of something, you show up and you just see if you could do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. When are you going back?
I am heading out on Monday, the 22nd, so a few days before Christmas. Okay. Yeah, December 22nd.
Sweet. Yeah. So I hope you stop by Quantum Brewing on Friday and Saturday.
I will, yeah.
Yay. Awesome.
Excited.
Yes, excited to have you. What's the scariest place for you to perform?
I think it's almost more of like a vibe. Sometimes it feels like, and this is like, I want to note that this is more of a like a stereotype than reality. But sometimes when I'm in a space where it's either just men or there's only one other woman, and again, people presenting as the gender that they feel comfortable in or identify with, sometimes it feels a little bit like I have to, and it's also on me. Like I kind of have this character that I, am exploring, like I'm recently divorced and I'm like, I'm a DILF, and And within that character role and within like the jokes on that and that exaggeration of a character, I think I can kind of get a little bit crude and sexual.
Yeah.
You know, versus what I want to be, which is sexy and confident.
Right.
But then it kind of creates this atmosphere of, you know, like maybe someone just kind of heard something, or, you know, like I came out and I'm, you know, wearing a low-cut shirt, you know, because I'm like, oh, I'm recently divorced. Oh. And I think that sometimes, and I've had a few strange interactions from that, and I think sometimes people think that, well, you said this on stage, so it must be true, right? Which is not true. Like, comedy is an exaggeration. But, and so sometimes like picking up that, it feels, it can, either I get angry or I get afraid, and neither of which are actually productive to the art of comedy, you know?
Right, yeah.
So I think that's part of it. And sometimes people don't, they think, and comedy is a space where you think that you are deserving of something.
Yeah.
You know, your ego can kind of get in the way, and not just deserving of people's laughs, but then deserving of what someone else is offering, even if it's in that content of just a stage, or the context of just a stage performance. And so I think that that's, you know, but I have to take ownership in that too. Like,
well, you know, I can't speak from your perspective, but you know, it's about connection, right? So even if everything you say is true on stage, you're making a connection with the whole audience. Yeah. Not one specific person. Right. And then when you get off stage, now you're having a one-on-one interaction. Yeah. And they're coming at 110 miles an hour. That's not even a social norm anyway, right? Yeah. So right. They're really breaking the norms, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I think like as comedians, we're opening up ourselves, like we're opening ourselves up for that connection, and so there's like this like kind of like false sense of familiarity.
Yeah, I think what people have to realize, it's like if you were eavesdropping on a very intimate date, right, and then you just come up to the person, one of the people on the date, and act like you were the person they were having the date with. Well, no, that was with the person I'm dating, or you know, having this intimate connection with. That's not you.
Right. Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Oh, thank you. I just thought of it.
But that's why, like, so like talking to other comedians and like what you're doing with this podcast, that's why it's so important, because it's like we can constantly learn from each other. Right. You know, if we so choose to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, when I talk about sexual stuff on stage, it's just like I'm not expecting to hook up with anybody in the audience. In fact, I don't want that. I want to be like have an actual connection. My level of attractiveness to someone goes up and down based on their personality. Yeah. So I'm not going to just get off stage and start making out with somebody. Right. You know, I'm not going to go take them on a one-night stand. Like, no, like that's foreign to me.
You know? Yeah. And, you know, I think, like, that also speaks to the point of being secure within yourself. Because I've had it before where I've been like, this person laughed really hard. They're giving me this validation. Yeah. But then I also have to remember, like, well, what are they looking for? Sure. You know, and how am I validating them? Yeah. You know, and just because they gave me validation in a place where I asked for validation in this particular situation doesn't mean then that they are deserving or responsible to give me validation somewhere else. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sweet. Okay, you kind of answered this already, but we'll skip that one then. What's your earliest memory?
Oh my God. It's a fake memory. Does that count?
I don't know what a fake memory is. What's the difference between a fake memory and a memory you think that's real?
well, I know for sure that it didn't happen, but there was that movie Matilda.
Okay.
So, God, so some people are like, I remember being born. I remember being a little child, like a little baby, my eyes opening. And I do not remember that.
Sure.
I have this memory, and I'm pretty sure it's because of Matilda. So in the movie Matilda, you know, she can move things with her mind.
Yeah.
And I have this, like, it's so strange because it's so clear to me, but I have this memory of being able to move a white mug with a red heart on it in my mind.
Wow.
And I know that that's not true.
Sure.
Like, I do identify as a witch, but that just means that I just try to find my secure confidence within myself, you know? But I don't believe that telekinesis is true, or not telekinesis, telepathy, no, whatever. It is telekinesis.
Yeah.
I know that it's not true,
Sure.
but for some reason and this is going to sound even crazier, because Matilda came out when I was probably like, I don't know, 8 or 9, but I had this memory that I was in a high chair and I moved this white mug with a red heart on it.
Huh.
And it's like, that's not real.
Sure.
But when I think of...
There could also be just some explanation you didn't fully understand gravity, and it was like gravity was affecting it or something. I don't know.
I honestly, I have no idea, but I can imagine the kitchen. I can remember like the wallpaper, like everything is so, I could like, you know, draw a picture of it.
Yeah.
It's just so vivid. And I'm like, so I don't know. Maybe I need to talk to a therapist about it. Or maybe I just need to get a little high and explore it. I don't know.
Sure.
But.
All right. Well, that's an interesting answer. Cool. So what's the biggest audience you perform for?
Well, you know, I am still in open mic land. And so really, actually, no, I lied. I actually did take... Back home, there's this really cool place in Vermont. It's called Artistry, and it's like this creative school for performance art and for like pottery and drawing and all kinds of different forms of artistic expression. And so they have their own little theater called the Grange Theater. And so I performed a show there, and God, this is going to sound, this is the biggest audience. There's probably about maybe 35 to 40 people, which is really, it's really not that big. But they had all of the lights, and, you know, we had our teachers, and she is an amazing woman, like, she's a professional comedian herself.
Wow.
And, you know, we had the music and everything, so it really did feel like, and it was a real show, so you really kind of got caught up with, like, the woo, we're stars. So yeah, if I'm being honest, it was probably like 37 people.
Wow, that's cool. So you didn't get to go to the American Comedy Company on Tuesday?
No. I'll have to come back.
Yeah, exactly. So you grew up in New Hampshire?
I did, born and raised.
Cool. Let's see, would you ever do a character on stage?
Yeah, I mean, like I kind of talked about a little before, like the idea of a DILF, you know, divorcee, and then I think I also, you know, I think a lot of comics do this. Like, we try to impersonate people with intimate relations to ourselves, whether it's a parent or a relationship, a partner or whatever, or a sibling, and so I don't think it's interesting trying to I don't want to make somebody else the butt of the joke, but then sometimes there's really funny situations where I'm just like, what are you talking about? So again, that's another balance. But yeah, I do actually, it's, you know, it's easy to try to make a character exaggeration of Trump. And so that's sometimes something I get a little bit into, but again, like, sometimes I question, I'm like, what am I actually making fun of here?
Right.
You know, and I don't know. So it's an interesting kind of dynamic with character work. I don't think it's really something that for me is really a comfortable part of my toolbox, but I will explore it. I'm willing to explore it.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So what's the worst thing about comedy right now?
Sexism. I think that, and it's not even like, it's not even somebody saying something. What it is the not giving somebody the, like, I'll speak from my personal experience. So sometimes I dress really sexy, right?
Yeah.
And then I've had it where other people, like, I'll use my body as a prop or parts of my body as a prop.
Uh-huh.
And then someone will go up, and for me it's only been men, and they'll use me and my jokes about my body as their prop, right? And so then it kind of just perpetuates this idea that I'm just a walking sex object.
Yeah.
And it really diminishes the efforts that I've put into the art that I love.
Yeah.
And so I think that for me that's the biggest issue, just feeling diminished and then disqualified, and then when I get upset about it being called dramatic, and it's just like, okay, so like, you either tell me that I'm too much and I should calm down, or I'm not enough because you want to take something from me, or that you're worried because now I'm not my normal self. And it's like, well, and so I think, and I think really it's on all of us to be better. Like, it's on me as a woman to recognize and say, hey, that's not okay. And then check in with people who are going through that similar situation. And maybe it's not even sexism, maybe it's just ignorance, because it can happen with racism, it can happen with ableism, and for me it's mostly sexism. But I think it's just that idea of, like, if I say nothing, I'm still contributing to letting it happen.
Yeah, I remember, I'm older. So I remember in the 80s, like, getting awful advice from people about how to behave. And I'm like, what? I have a mother and sisters, and, like, women are people.
Yeah.
And then I just, anytime that I hear women talking bad about women or pushing, like, these toxic masculinity kind of ideas, and, like, you're just contributing to it, it's like, it's awful. But
again, but that's my, like we all have our own paths and we all have our own obstacles, and so, like, I'm not gonna say that, like, just because sexism affects me doesn't mean that ableism doesn't affect someone else, or even, like, thinking about, like, I know that, like, some guys will go up and be like, like talk about their weight, right? Yeah. And it's like, that's another form of discrimination. Not that they're doing it to themselves, but, like, sometimes we call out the quote unquote weakness, right, before someone else can. We're like, I'm gonna make fun of this. And so I'm trying to be really cognizant that, like, okay, like, if I want to be treated fairly, then I also have to treat others fairly, and not just in the place where I'm receiving injustice.
Right, yeah.
So it's very mature of me.
Yeah.
And it's a work in progress.
Sure. I think also it's there's a lot of double standards sometimes. It's like, I noticed that so many, it's like, it's hard to talk about without being too crude, but there's men that want want to have sex with women in multiple holes, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, but then when they're like, oh, I'm a guy and I want a woman to peg me, then like I'm looked at as lesser or whatever, or out of the ordinary, weird. It's like, well, that's a double standard. That's sexism in a way, or something.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like it's just kind of interesting.
Well, even like I think there's like seems to be a fear of, you know, like, and again, this is a bit of a generalization from what I've noticed, but like there's a like, you know, like no homo, but I would love a finger in the butt, you know, and or no homo, or I'm not gay, or whatever, and it's like, so what?
Yeah.
You know, like so what? Like, like my favorite kind of humor is self-deprecating humor. Like, why is it funny that someone might think you're gay? Like, why is it really funny? Is it funny just because being gay is less than? Or is it funny because you've struggled with your sense of identity and you have your own fears because of your own experiences, and you know, like maybe you were brought up in a religious home where it was like, this is not okay, and you've struggled with that, and then you finally are like, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna do this, and then you get shut down a little bit, but you continue to go. And so like this idea of like confidence, I think like I often liken confidence to like being in a room and the light is on, confidence is on, you feel good, you know where you're going, you know, and you're like, I got this, look at me, and all of a sudden someone turns that light off, and you have to find your bearings in this dark space before you can find the light again to turn it back on, right? And I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to even look for the light. I don't even want to go into the room because that's scary. So I'm going to put all of my fears into that room, and then I'm going to make fun of that, like those fears, you know? And it's like, well, is that really funny? Or is that just you ignoring part of growth for yourself? You know, and making fun of like a stereotype that's just making fun of a group of people, that's making fun of a lifestyle, and just literally just is excluding your audience from connection. You know, like logically, like when we make fun of other people, you're not really making people want to listen to you.
Yeah, there's a comic that it's a funny joke, but he's like, I don't want that because I might like it too much.
That's like,
it's like, what?
Oh, so what?
That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You don't want to experience another type of pleasure, like, because you might like it too much.
Right.
Why would that be bad?
Well, maybe like the funnier part is like society has said XYZ is awful, but I love it. You know, like society has told me, you know, like if you want attention, you know, if you dress sexy, you're gonna get a certain kind of attention. I like that kind of attention sometimes.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I like the attention without the touch, without the fear attached to it, with it singularly just being like, oh, I see what you're doing here. That's really clever. You know, and that's really interesting. And yeah, you got my attention so I can listen to what you're saying.
Yeah. So. Cool. Let's see. Have you ever been in a car accident?
Oh, yes. Let's see. I think I've been in 2 car accidents, but both of them were nobody ever died, thankfully.
I didn't even think of that. I'm asking that question. You have people crying on the podcast.
Actually, no, I lied. I've been in 3 car accidents.
Oh, okay.
And let's see, I think the scariest one was I was on the highway, and this is before smartphones, or before I had a smartphone, I guess I should say. And so it had been raining a lot, and I was living at home with my parents, and all of the rain had unearthed nails, and so I got a flat tire. And I had to put on the donut, and you know, like when you're driving a car or like a spare tire, you can only go so fast.
Sure.
And the only way that I really knew how, I was with my mom, and the only way that we knew how to get to the mechanic was through the highway. So we had our hazards on, we're going like 55, and then again, there's this huge downpour. And so there was a car between us and the one that hit us. And so the car that saw that we were going too slow, they changed lanes, and then the car behind them didn't realize how slow we were going, and so they hydroplaned into us, and they hit us from behind, and we spun around, and we're facing oncoming traffic on the highway in torrential downpour. And I just remember like being like, okay, this is it. I'm gonna die. You know, my mom's next to me. She's like, Jesus, oh my God, I'm gonna die. You know, like freaking out. You know, and I mean, obviously we didn't die. But it's so. I remember like this is like seeing this woman who, you know, she was in oncoming traffic, and she was this beautiful woman, and I just like we just looked at each other like, oh my God. And she slow, you know, and like traffic slowed down, and like we had flown to the other side. We were crashing the guardrail facing traffic, you know.
Wow.
And just.
So you were in the fast lane?
Yeah, we had been originally in the slow lane, and then we got, yeah. And it just, and then the weirdest part was that the guy who hit me or hit us had been one of my friend's ex-boyfriends. And we just got out and just cried and hugged each other, and in the whole thing, like, he felt really bad because he hadn't even been going that fast. He had been going like 70, you know, on a 65 highway, and he just
But it was raining.
It was raining, but it was again like a torrential. It was one of those things where cloudy days, and
Just came out of nowhere.
it just came out of nowhere, and it just all happened so fast and so unpredictably, and you know, and I just remember being like, wow, like that was a moment where I was like, okay, like there's something watching over me, or someone, or some, yeah. But I still drive, so.
Let's see, how do you feel about social media?
Selfishly, I like it because I like that I can promote what I'm doing. You know, and I do feel like, for me at least right now, like I like to listen to podcasts, I like to read news stories, but sometimes I'm just like, I'm too tired, or I don't have time, or whatever, and I'm like, I'm just gonna scroll through, and you know, and I can follow news publications, so it feels very convenient. But I do feel like Australia recently, or they've just put a ban that will be in effect at the beginning of the new year. So right now we're in December of 2025. So once 2026 comes around, it will no longer be legal for anyone under the age of 16 to have social media in Australia. And
so they didn't have that before?
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
How are they going to enforce it? Because I know here in the United States, you hear there's a lot of anecdotal evidence of people that younger people are going, oh yeah, I got on way too early. You know, you're supposed to be at least 14 with your parents' permission or whatever.
I think they're going to be using like a government card. So like
to get on social media.
To like prove your age.
Wow.
And, you know, so I'm 34, so I didn't have my first flip phone until I was like 16. And I was part of the MySpace crew, you know, and so I grew up with social media like it was just starting, right? And I feel really lucky for that because I was bullied a lot in high school, and I feel so grateful that I wasn't cyberbullied, you know? So I think that there are a lot of issues with social media, but there's also a lot of benefits. Like I like that I can see what family is doing who live all over the country. I can see their children. I can see my cousins' families grow up. You know, I can stay in touch with old friends. And then, you know, like I said, the convenience of the news and information, and then also just feeling validated too. Yeah. And then also from my own perspective, I can share what I'm doing and get validation from that. But I think like so many other things, it can be used, you know, and it's almost like driving in a way where it's like it literally can be a vehicle getting you from one place to another. but you have to be really careful of the path that you're going on, you know, and also you can't be reckless. You can't, you know, think that you own the entirety of what you're doing, and
Right.
and that it's, you know, not going to impact other people.
What about group chats? Are you part of any group chats where you're sharing your information?
I have
Because sometimes I'm like, I put something in a group chat, I'm like, should I have shared that? You know, it's like, because, you know, even from, you know, text or whatever, you're not always getting any kind of response. You're like, oh, okay, maybe I should stop sending stuff. I don't know.
Honestly, the only group chat that I'm really active in is with my dad and my brothers. And we mostly just send pictures of what we're like. My I love my dad, but he's really excited about all of the filters. So he'll take a really cool picture, and then he likes wiping through all these filters, and he's like, look at this picture of this flower that I took. It's neon green and orange. And I'm like, you know, but I don't know if my family were all so awkward that we're kind of forced to support each other in a way.
Yeah.
Like I feel really confident knowing that there's nothing I could ever do that would diminish the love that my family has for me.
Oh, that's great.
And I'm really lucky that I have that, you know. Sure. And I think it's just, it feels really, I like it, you know, like sometimes it's just really like my dad will take a picture of something and be like, caption this, you know, and we're all just kind of like, okay, you know, so it's just kind of fun. And
Cool.
But yeah, I'm kind of lucky. I'm not really a big group chat kind of person.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, you know, not all the group chats I really want to be in, but there's one where I've left and then they put me back in and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm here.
I guess I just haven't been invited. Oh well.
Yeah, sweet. Let's see. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
Oh, well, I would like to ask, I mean, like, I would love to know, like, you said, I think you said you have, 150 something episodes? Oh, sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
120 something.
Oh, I apologize, 120 something.
Let's see, let me look it up.
But I would love to know, like, what have you, like, you know, anytime you're a host of something, you have to kind of figure out, like, how to be a good host, right?
Sure.
And how to figure out what somebody, you know, how to get these, like, really insightful answers from people. And so I would love to know, like, what are things that you've learned through the experience of doing this podcast, you know, and, like, how has it shaped your own experience and understanding of being a comedian?
Well, I mean, I wish some of these things sometimes you make an observation you don't always follow through on. I wish I was better at, like, having the order of the questions be better, because there's times where the conversation's just flowing and one question is leading right and naturally into another, you know what I mean? And then other times I'm like, feel like I'm jumping from this topic to this topic because, like, that's the order of the questions.
Yeah.
You know? So I wish I could be better at that. But, you know, it's just, and then also, like, scheduling it. I wish I was better at, like, getting the people I really want to be on the podcast. And everything with the podcast I want to do better. Yeah. Better production quality. You know, not that I want to release 2 a week, but there's, like, this ebbs and flow. I'll have a backlog of episodes, and then I start running out of episodes, and I'm like, oh no, I have to, like, get people to come on the podcast. So I'm trying to get better at constantly going, oh, that's an interesting comedian, I want to have them on. And I feel like I have improved. You know, I'm like you, I, like, asked you to be on a podcast instead of just forgetting about it. And luckily you were able to come. So, and then clips. I wish we could be better at like getting. It already takes time to schedule the podcast, record the podcast, edit the podcast, promote the podcast, and then part of that is now you have to take the podcast or whatever, and like you have to like make, you should make clips, because you have to like entice people to come listen, so I want to get better at that.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like it really.
How about you? How did you like doing your podcast?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that my best friend stayed my best friend, and so we had a podcast that was very short-lived. I think we did like 13 episodes, so not 120.
You'll be 122.
122. Woo! Perfect. That's the floor that I'm on in my very large hotel, the 22nd floor, so it was meant to be. But we had a podcast a little bit called Type A for Anxious, and it was all about different subjects of anxiety, and we tried to do research too, and just explain like we're not medical professionals, but here's our life, our lived experience with anxiety, and here's some documented approach to help manage it. And but I do remember so for, let's say, for the hour it takes to have the conversation, it might take upwards of like 3 to 4 hours to edit that, let alone like just going through and listening and stopping and making sure that you're cutting out the pause or the extra breath or whatever.
That's what I'm not doing.
Oh.
So maybe that's what I need to do next is, well, also like I tried like these AI tools that didn't alter the content, except it did cut out the pauses or whatever, and then I listened back to it, and I'm like, okay, I can see on the one hand how it made it more compelling to listen to, but you're missing that human quality.
Yeah.
And it's not just because an AI did it.
Right.
Because of someone very trained and very good at editing might have came up with the exact same or very similar edit.
Yeah.
But you just lose, oh, it's interesting how, when Aaron like is thinking of what to say and he like looks over there, or, you're cutting that out. You're losing that human quality because we're not perfect.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people can, it's recorded, it's uploaded, you download it and skip the parts that aren't interesting,
Yeah.
yourself. So that's my justification for not doing more work. But part of the clips, I guess, would be if I did a clip, then I definitely, if there was a great clip, but there was a big pause in the middle of it, I definitely would take that out.
Right.
Because this is not being presented as, it's being presented as a clip of the podcast, but I hope everybody understands it's not, exactly without some edits of, the pauses or the
Well,
stuff
like
that.
in comedy, we talk about having a tight 5.
Yeah.
So like that similar idea of being like, okay, I'm going to put this into a neat little box, and really get to like the point of it.
Sure.
But what is something that you've learned doing this podcast that either has helped you overall in life or as a comedian?
So many things like it's interesting hearing people's different writing processes and their answers to the questions of which sometimes I go, I started comedy at 47, which is kind of late, but then it's like people are like, oh no, I kind of started at the right time. It's just kind of like it's helpful to read even if you know something, it's kind of helpful to like hear it over and over from other people's perspective.
Yeah.
It's like, I think I did start comedy at the right time. I know that it would have been bad if I started it like in my early 20s or whatever, because even if I knew someone was joking around, they would say something teasing me, I probably just would still have liked to be getting too emotional about it, then that's just where I was at the time.
Yeah.
So now I can just, it doesn't matter. It's like not that I want. It's not a challenge to insult me and to, like make me cry, but it's just I can do stuff like roast battle, and it's super fun. Have you ever done roast battle?
No.
Are you interested in it at all?
Maybe.
Okay.
I feel like I'd have to do a little bit of research on the person.
Yeah.
Is that what you do?
It's probably better to roast someone that you kind of already know.
It's interesting because I feel like right now I'm kind of in this place where I'm kind of softly roasting myself. I'm a nice rotisserie chicken. But I've seen it done before, and it is really, you got to be really quick.
Yeah.
And I think if I, like, the other aspect of, like, quick comedy is improv.
Sure.
And I think that that's something I'd be a little bit more interested or inclined towards.
Well, I mean, you write the jokes ahead of time.
Oh, you do?
Being quick, I guess, is you don't always know what they're going to say. So the
Oh,
responses are the quick part.
Okay.
Where they said, oh, Dorothy, da-da-da.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, but at least I don't do this.
I
them or
see.
something.
Oh.
That part is on the fly, quick.
Okay.
So
See,
it's kind of a mixture of both.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so maybe I would.
It's like a joke writing exercise because you're probably not going to ever use those jokes again.
Right.
And then it's showing that you can get up on stage and be confident.
Yeah.
And likable.
And you can also take it and be like,
yeah.
well, whatever. I don't have a box of tissues in the car. Yeah. Well, this has been such a pleasure. I feel very honored and special being here.
I could look it up, but could you type your Instagram handle there?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, it's literally just my name. It's
Did I spell your name right?
There's a second O.
Oh, okay.
I'm a little extra with the O's. It's funny. My mom is, she still has her Boston accent. And so she says Dorothy. And I literally had somebody spell my name once. They spelled it. They spelled it DAWTH. Oops, that didn't work. DAWTHEE.
It might be easier just to type your first name all over again. Dang technology! Problem.
It really is. Like, I know, like, that's, we put such to your point about social media, we put such expectation. Sometimes I'll have a reel and I'll be like, this is amazing. And I've done all of this work to, put in the right captions and bleep out the swear words and make it all nice. And then all of a sudden it's like, data collection loss, Wi-Fi signal loss, and it's all gone.
Wow.
And it's like, ugh, it's so frustrating. I think that's sometimes we don't give enough credit to, like, the extra. Comedy is not just going on stage.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than that, especially in today's digital world.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
Well,
okay,
thank you.
Sweet. Well, thanks for doing the podcast.
Yeah.
Everybody go see live comedy no matter where you are. And if you want to do comedy, go try it.
Yeah.
Improv or stand-up or whatever it is. Sweet.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, this has been Comedy or Worse. Okay, bye everybody.